Right, so today we're going to be looking at The Watch. Now this is a film I'm very, very excited to show you all. It's one of those films where like when you ask someone if they've seen it and they say they haven't, you get this burst of excitement to show them because it's full of quotable, memorable moments all throughout with great side characters and hilarious dialogue. So it's a film that came out in 2012 and it's got an all-star cast. We've got Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, Jonah Hill and Moss. No, his name's not actually Moss, but if you know, you know. Anyway, I haven't even told you about the plot of the film yet. This film follows these four men as they start a neighbourhood watch together, and they end up fighting a full-scale alien invasion. And that's all you need to know, to be honest. So this film, like the others I've covered, was considered a flop. It didn't even make its money back, and the critics didn't like it. But fuck the critics, this film's great, and I'm going to show you why. So, the film starts when we meet Ben Stiller's character, Evan. And he starts blabbing on about his hometown of Glenview. We also learn that Evan is the local kiss ass. He runs a bunch of clubs, he's on the town council, and he's also a manager at the local Costco. Which is where we get our first scene. Evan is closing up for the night, and his security guard arrives and he informs him that he's just passed his American citizenship test. Happy for him, Evan says that he can have some snacks and some cokes. And I'm sure the guard will respect his trust. And then the guard does the most American thing possible. He completely ignores Evan's wishes and has a fun night drinking, smoking, doing pills, and watching Denise come out of the pool.
It's time to come out of the pool, Denise.
But unfortunately, this is interrupted by what he thinks is a power cut. He goes and tries to turn it back on, but it's no luck. And then he hears noises coming from somewhere in the shop. So he goes searching and steps in some green goop, and then spots something coming at him. Not knowing if it's real or combination of all the substances he's taken, he starts shooting it and running away. But he doesn't get very far, and he's killed because of a locked door. Evan arrives at the store for work in the morning to find the place has been taped off. He speaks with the officer and their conversation spirals into accusations at Evan.
Just became an American citizen.
Yeah, and that made you angry. Then why'd you kill him?
Anyway, he identifies the body and we cut to Evan driving home from the funeral. And we see that he's crying, so, this death has clearly upset this man. After hearing some nonsense from the police on the TV.
But I, for one, would like to put some of the responsibility on the citizens of this town.
And because of the accusation from earlier, he decides that he's going to start his own neighbourhood watch to try and catch the killer. So he goes to the local game and decides that he's going to announce this there. He starts off by saying something relatable to captivate his audience.
Did anyone here cry themselves to sleep last night?
So he goes through the announcement and we see a few people in the crowd seem intrigued, but the majority aren't. So then we cut to the first watch meeting, and what a turnout they got. Two geezers are shown up, but one more does arrive late, and his name is Marcus. And you can see the joy in Evan's face now that he finally may have a black friend.
Great, that's great. I was hoping another person would come, and you're the best type of person it could be.
So they all settle in, except for Vince Vaughn's character, who's too fascinated by the Russian dolls. And I don't blame him, because the first time I watched this film, I also had no idea what a Russian doll was. I'm not dumb, I was 9. Anyway, the meeting starts, and the men introduce themselves. First up, we meet Bob, who sees this as a chance to hang the blokes and have some beers once a week to get away from the family. Next up is Franklin, played by Jonah Hill. His character's always wanted to be a police officer, but he couldn't due to various reasons.
Apparently I didn't pass the written exam, or the physical exam, or the mental health exam, whatever that means.
And he sees this as an alternative. Lastly, we introduce Jamarcus, played by Moss from the RT crowd, and he's a massive addition to this film. Whoever's idea it was to cast this man deserves a high-under 18-inch self-propelled petrol lawnmower. But I do wish he did more roles at this, because honestly I really liked him in this film. Anyway, he's recently divorced and he's joined the watch because he's hoping to get his fantasy fulfilled.
Young, sexy, Asian housewife, alone at night, frightened, a noise out by the trash cans. Best call the neighbourhood watch. Get this. She sucks my balls.
I'm also interested in that happening to me.
So the real meeting finally starts, and Evan is just being a buzzkill of all these maps and stats and shit. So Bob, like the absolute geezer he is, suggests that they all just go around his house for beers instead, because he's got an absolutely mental man cave there. So without much hesitation, they all head to Bob's, and then they all start messing around with various objects in the room, and Evan's just there trying to set up the meetings if any of these guys actually care. And then Starlight comes in.
Well, I fucking love it here! That's my little princess. That's my little angel.
So, while the men have a beer, the woman goes off to put some flyers up. While doing this, he meets his new neighbour, who says this.
You got the body of a decathlete, Evan, and you got great skin.
Anyway, after that weird interaction, Evan turns down some sex to hang with the boys, as we all would. And when Evan arrives with the boys, we see that Bob's made them all new jackets, and he's revamped the watch's logo. But Evan isn't really happy about it, to be honest. Could this be the start of a mini conflict? Maybe. So after discussing it for a bit, they agreed to get some real work done. Real work.
Yeah, this is boring.
So after sitting in a car with Bob's stinky piss for a while, they all start having a few drinks, which Evan tries to dispute, but of course these guys don't give a shit.
Doesn't matter. It's so
Franklin, you failed the police test. Is this illegal?
Definitely illegal. But I also failed the boring test, you know what I'm saying?
Then the police show up and show us a realistic response to meeting the neighbourhood watch.
Neighborhood watch business.
Hide your bong, Chucho. Neighborhood watch is here.
So they tell the police they're doing a stakeout of the crime because the killer always returns to the scene of the crime. and the police officer suggests it's funny that Evan's there, as this is the scene of the crime. And the police hand them their fines for the open beers and for putting flyers up early on that day.
Hit it, Chucho.
But their luck is beginning to turn, and they get their first official call as a neighbourhood watch. It's a noise complaint from the football field. When they show up though, it turns out it was just a bunch of ragscallion teens wanting to throw eggs at them, and as they run off we get the classic Ben Stiller run, and he tackles the teen.
I bet you didn't expect to get your ass kicked.
Huh? Look how much pain he's in.
So they take their criminal down to the station and teach this young man a lesson.
Yeah, look at me. Look at his face. Look at my face. Look at his face and listen to me. Look at him and listen to me.
Look at him and understand me.
And after that confusion lecture, they leave, probably feeling like £1,000,000 each. The officer obviously just lets his kid go home, not knowing that this would be the last time he'd be seen alive. He leaves the building and is chased down and killed off screen. So while the Watch are driving and celebrating, they hit something with their car.
Why did you take your eyes off the road to sing?
There's beer and piss all over the car.
At first they think they've all hit a person, and Franklin suggests,
You don't
So
get
here's
it.
what we do. We focus on the living. Just drive us out of here.
not very neighbourhood watch for you, Franklin. So they all get out of the car to go and check what it is, and they discover this weird tentacle around the grille of the car and this weird green liquid coming out of it. The same green liquid from the beginning of the film. And then we get one of my favourite interactions from this film.
Back at Costco, this was the stuff by Antonio's body.
Had he just won a Nickelodeon's Kids' Choice Award?
Franklin, he was dead.
So he wasn't eligible.
Anyway, they play with the liquid and deduct that it's cum. Solid work, lads. Franklin finds this mysterious ball, and when Evan fingers it, it lights up. Suddenly, Sergeant Hartman from Full Metal Jacket comes out. They ask him if he's seen anything weird tonight, and in a very Hartman manner, he tells them.
You mean like 4 nitwits standing around on my lawn in the middle of the night?
Then, after some more insults, they grab the ball and leave. Rest in peace, by the way, what a legend this guy was. So, the boys are set up in a new place to test out what the ball is, and they all decide they're going to finger it together. And the end result is, well, this. So yeah, this thing is pretty fucking powerful, and that cow's in millions of pieces now. So this is a very powerful object, and they decide they shouldn't really mess around with this thing and go home. Fuck that, obviously they decide to blow the shit out of some farm equipment first, and then go back to discuss what the ball is and where it came from. Through this little meeting, they decide to name the ball Lucy for some reason. I'm not sure why, but it does look like a Lucy if you ask me. And they also come to the conclusion that the old man has something to do with Lucy, which is way off, but the plan that follows cracks me out every time.
Either we dress Franklin up as a girl, he goes to the door as a salesman, because they'll suspect him any other way. He's pretty enough.
I'm listening.
And then they start discussing how far Franklin will go with this man, and honestly, I respect his dedication.
I'm not gonna go past second with this old guy, but if I have to, I will.
Can I tell you something, Bob? That could work.
We then cut to Bob browsing Facebook the next day, and he sees a video of his daughter kissing her boyfriend Jason. After some arguing, he tells her to take it down and calls out Evan for a little man-to-man chat, as he's having a hard time with all the parenting being left to him since his wife's away for work. And we can all see where's trousers in their relationship. And this is where we learn that Evan's shooting blanks. His spunk can't have any kids with it. And it's during this conversation that Evan gets a phone call from the old man from the night before. And he's calling because he hears noises coming from up on the roof. So they round up the rest of the watch and they head over. They meet up with Franklin and Jamarcus. Turns out no one is home, so they split into 2 groups to search the area. And while searching out in the woods, Evan and Jamarcus hear rattling in the bushes, and we finally get our first scene with an alien. Evan, using his knowledge that he's gained from E.T., tries to give a sweet to the alien. And the alien takes it, and he returns the favour by giving him some of his own food. The alien bursts out of the bushes and launches Evan, and he gets very close up to Jamarcus, sniffing around him, but doesn't attack him. This will make sense later. Anyway, while he's being sniffed, Evan comes over and smashes the alien over the head with a gnome. Took a book out of Mickey's page from Doghouse. And the alien falls and breaks its neck. And I'm sorry, but I had to do this edit. So, now the alien is dead, they take it over to Bob's man cave where they can reveal it to the others.
Holy shit! Jesus Christ!
Bob then gets his camera and he reminds them.
Well, I don't want to put pressure on you, but it's the first historical picture of anyone with an alien.
So, in a sophisticated manner, they do a photo shoot of the alien.
Ready? And we're bringing it. Here, let me share in the sunshine.
Does she walk? Does she talk?
And this is just pure gold. This scene has just always been my favourite. It's just so silly and ridiculous. I absolutely love it. So, after all the beers and pictures, they have a slow dance, and while Bob's searching the inside of this alien's mouth, it comes back to life. Well, it was never dead, but you get what I mean. So Franklin decides to start throwing pool balls, and shit like this is why I love Franklin's character. He's just a lovable idiot.
Bob, the pool balls aren't hurting him! Franklin, you gotta hit him!
Jamarcus doesn't do much better, but he tries to open the door to try and shoot it out. Evan leaps from the bar onto the alien's back, and after a struggle, they get the alien down onto the ground, and they try to choke it out. And then he says... I wonder what that could mean.
Oh my god. That's why they take the skins, to wear them.
So over the next few days, all the boys stay weary of everyone around them. And while scoping out possible aliens at Costco, Evan's neighbour stops by to invite them all to a gathering. And Evan comes to the realisation that his neighbour might be an alien, because of his skin comment earlier and the fact that he's got over 200 batteries in his trolley. So that night, they all decide to stop by this gathering. They're hiding in the bushes, watching the house to get a feel for what's really going on. The group then splits into two as Bob and Franklin go off to resolve Bob's family matter, leaving Evan and Jamarcus alone. And they go over to an open window to try and get a peek through as they can hear what they think is screams of terror coming from inside.
Sounds like somebody's getting ripped apart in there.
Then they get jump scared and invited inside. Before we see what's going on in there, we see Bob and Franklin, and they're off trying to save Starlight from a night of regrets. So while at the party, Franklin goes in the pool, not a good idea at a high school party.
I was just met, but I feel like I'm the triplet in a weird way, but in like in a sexual way.
Bob cockblocks his daughter, and he ends up getting a beat down from this 18-year-old.
Oh my god!
And then we get to see what the others are getting up to, and the gathering just turns out to be a full-on orgy. Well, a pretty classy one at that. Evan, being married, obviously leaves, but Jamarcus has other business to attend to first.
Hey, do you mind if I suck on your balls?
I'm gonna see how this plays out.
So Evan regroups with Bob and Franklin. Evan is just being a proper ass about the splitting up situation and tries to go telling Bob off, and Bob puts him in his place, giving him a reality check, as someone should have. Bob's just been off sorting family matters, cock-blocking people. That's very important stuff. At the end of the argument, Franklin sides with Bob, and Evan tries to treat him like a dog, showing his obsession with control.
Franklin, you do not go in that house. Come! Franklin, come!
Bruh.
Anyway, the next time we see Evan, he's at home talking with his wife, but it's interrupted by Jamarcus banging on the door, and he tells them that they must get the watch together. So they all gather up at Bob's man cave, and he's done all this just telling about how good his ball sucking was earlier.
And also the ball sucking was a real eye-opener.
No, I'm joking, he's actually brought them here to inform them all that he's an alien.
It's okay. Touch my goo, Bob.
So yeah, that clears up a lot of his weird behaviour throughout the film. He explains that in a few hours a transmitter will send a message to the rest of the aliens and a global invasion will take place. It turns out that the transmitter is under Costco, Evan's sweet child. So the guys tell Jamarcus to leave. Could you just imagine being Evan's wife at this point? Like, she has no idea what's going on until this moment. Evan thinks they should tell the police, and after a little pep talk from Bob, they decide they're going to take down the transmitter and stop the invasion themselves. Now obviously they can't fight the aliens without any weapons, so they pop down to Franklin's house to kit up. And I love how he just smashes his own door down and then storms past his mum, giving her the finger, goes straight to his room and reveals all these.
Welcome to the candy shop, motherfuckers.
They grab some guns, Franklin apologises to Mum. Fuck's sake. Why I say my mum? I ain't got a fucking mum. They grab some guns, next to some Huns. Franklin apologises to his mums.
I'm sorry, Mima. I was trying to impress my friends. I was trying to be a big man.
Then they head to Costco and they try calling the police and have to fake a hostage situation just to get them down there. Now here they are at Costco, loaded up and ready for the finale.
It's about damn time.
They enter the store for a secret entrance and make their way down to the basement door. And they spot an alien on the way. They all get in position ready to shoot, but the police turn out and scare it away. They all try telling the police about the aliens, but obviously they don't believe them, until Chucha has his heart ripped out. Then the watch light up the alien and put it down. So they all walk away and the policeman goes to inspect the body.
His heart is out of his body, fella. I don't think he's gonna make it.
And he is sent flying. So they light the alien up again and make sure it's dead this time. Because now the officer is injured, Evan's wife decides she's going to stay with him instead of going down.
Guess this is the part where you leave me to die.
No, you're not gonna die.
Yeah, you're not gonna die.
So Evan kisses her goodbye, and then Franklin kisses her goodbye. I think he just kind of assumed that's what they were all doing. Anyway, the watch makes their way down into the basement. And when they get down there, they're greeted by Jason. Obviously, this is Bob's alien to deal with, given their history. So they have their little boss battle. And it ends with Bob getting choked on the floor. But before we see what happens there, we cut to the others, and they found the transmitter.
I have an idea.
So after that plan fails, a bunch of aliens just spawn in out of nowhere, and they both start shooting until they have no bullets left.
What is happening? Why are their dicks exploding?
Jamarcus emerges from the shadows, saving the day.
Hi.
He tells them that the aliens' brains are in their penises, like all men. So they tell Bob over the radio. So we cut back to Bob, who's still being choked out by Jason. And he's been down here for like a full minute at this point, being choked out. He definitely did some asphyxiation at some point in the past. Anyway, Bob rips out Jason's cock. Meanwhile, the others try to figure out how to stop the transmitter.
Removing the orb would
Depower it.
You seriously don't know how this thing works?
At least don't you know the basic? What do you mean the basic? Look at it. It's not fucking basic.
So Evan decides that he's just going to climb up and take the ball off and hope that works. Luckily, it does actually work. And this means they've done it. They've stopped the alien invasion. Well, not quite, as there's still a whole swarm of aliens coming down the tunnel towards them.
Franklin!
And this is where we get the sick final shootout of the film. And this film gives you like the arcade machine vibes to it. Like, Joe, like House of the Dead and stuff. It reminds me of that. I also like how it's just a bunch of cocks being shot. So the guys climb out of the basement and make a run for the exit. The alien's hot on their tail. Franklin hits the buttons for the shutters as they all run past, and they all slide out in the nick of time. They get to a safe distance and use the alien's own weapon against them, and the whole of Costco explodes.
Goodbye, sweet child of mine.
A worthy sacrifice for Earth's safety. Plus insurance will cover it all anyway. So the explosion's so big that it causes a smoke cloud to completely cover the watch. And not sure if the guys made it or not, the police officer shoots his shot, with no success obviously.
Life goes on though, there's always something better around the corner. That's what my mom always said. I'm single too, actually.
So the watch successfully stopped the alien invasion. So that's the film. I personally really enjoyed making this video, and this film is just such a great watch. It's so funny, has so many great scenes, the action is decent, and it doesn't take itself too seriously, or bother overcomplicating the story. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. See ya.